Verona Township Council, January 2025. Madam Clerk, would you please read the Public Meetings Act compliance statement? Please.
Notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied with respect to this meeting of the Township Council. The meeting time and date were included in the public meeting notice, along with the public internet link and telephone call-in information. Said notice and the meeting agenda was posted in the municipal building and sent to the official newspapers of the township, the Verona City Grove Times, and the Star Ledger, at least 48 hours preceding the start time of this meeting. The agenda and public handouts can be viewed online at veronanj.org/council meetings. A public comment period will be held in the order it's listed on the meeting agenda, and instructions on how to comment will be provided at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland? Here. Councilwoman McGrath? Here. Councilman Roman?
Here.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Present.
Mayor Tamburo?
Here.
There are also present Township Attorney Brian Aloya, Township Manager Joe Diarco, Deputy Township Manager Kevin O'Sullivan, myself, Municipal Clerk for the chair.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and Happy New Year, everyone. A few quick items for the mayor's report tonight. First, we had a lovely Hanukkah menorah lighting on the 26th at Town Hall. People braved the cold, and we had quite a few people here. I would like to thank everybody for attending. The band was always wonderful, and I'd like to thank Rabbi Skolnick for pinch hitting for Rabbi Rob, who would normally have been there, but was. We had a large 12-inch water main break during the holiday time. I want to thank our Public Works Department, our Police Department for working on getting that remediated, as well as our fire department who pumped water in from Montclair to keep up the water pressure, and our emergency management office for working with that, as well as our PIO. I'd also like to thank the Cedar Grove Township Administration for sending Cedar Grove DPW representatives over as well. So thank you everybody for their work on that. Unfortunately, these things do happen more often than we would like, but our DPW is so well trained and able to handle these things. So I thank them for all of that. Just a few days prior to that, we had our first snowfall of the season, which Public Works was also out there dealing with as well. Finally, the Verona Fire Environmental Commission meets this Wednesday, 7 o'clock. So we hope to see everybody then. And that is my report. Mr. Diarco. Mr. Coltrane. Oh, sorry, Mr. Coltrane. Sorry. We like you today.
New council, Happy New Year to you all. I have a very short report also. Starting this Thursday at Hilltop, we have our deer management program, and I have left you all one of the handouts, gives you the dates. Hilltop Reservation will be closed on January 9th. These are all Thursdays, the 16th, the 23rd, and the 30th, February 6th, 13th, the 20th, and 27th. If you need any additional information, you can call the County Executive's Office, 973-621-4400. And yes, I do get all the notifications. I'm on your notifications regarding the water main break, and hopefully everybody had a semi-healthy and happy holiday season. That's about it. Any comments or questions?
So if you might briefly touch on, there's been some questions in town about the deer management program, why the county does it, and where the meat goes.
The meat goes to, there is a specific butcher, and I don't have the exact amount of deer that is butchered, but then it goes to a, let me think of the right term, a shelter that hands out the meat. And the reason is because deer are all over both South Mountain Reservation and the Hilltop Reservation. So if you have any other questions, shoot me an email. I'll be glad at our next meeting to bring it up again and have all the correct answers. Yes,
I believe in the past you sent us, or there is a copy of like a county deer management program, like document, like a
Yes,
strategy.
there is. I'll be glad to have that and forward it to the manager in the next day or two.
It would be helpful. People have just been chatting about it, and I think we all know the reason for it. But
Mhm.
for any members of the public who might be calling in to wonder about it, certainly something that we can post on our website. Or
Usually when I'm out early in the morning, the deer stands on Linden and Grove and waves to me. But, and that is a true story. But I'll be glad to get any notifications that we have, and I'll forward it to the town manager.
thank you.
Great.
Any other questions for Mr. Culture? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Giacomo.
Mayor. Last thing, move closed session up for one meeting, both in break the councils, and we can go back later to the other items.
All right, I'll hear a motion to change the order of business to allow for an executive session now. Do I hear that motion? So motion is made by Councilman Roman. Is there a second? I'll second it. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any discussion on that? Hearing none here, or we'll go into the conference room. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, and then I'll hear a motion to let's use K24, and we'll call that motion now, which is the motion to go, the resolution to go in executive session. Do I hear that motion? So moved. Thank you, Councilman. Is there a second? I'll second it. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, since the resolution is called a roll.
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Here, ordinance, the resolution passes 5-0, will be number 001.
And for the public, this should be a brief closed session, right? Should have. We can actually. We'll reconvene in open session at 7:33 p.m. Mr. Giarco, the continuation of your report, please.
Council have my agenda is already on the ballot. Within the deputy management report.
Mr. O'Sullivan.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I will try to work through my report quickly. We do have some discussion tonight on the pool rates, which should hopefully wrap up the presentations that we've heard at prior meetings. That in addition to some marketing plans, we are starting to move forward on the 2025 pool season. Additionally, we have a pre-construction meeting for the pool improvement project scheduled for January 8th, and we'll be getting a construction schedule shortly thereafter. We continue to work forward on a number of our wastewater projects. The smoke testing, we are working with Boswell to complete that final list of recommendations. We are also looking to coordinate a pre-construction meeting with the iBank on our primary clarifier pump station project, and we have our disinfection microscreen projects under design currently. We also have continued to work forward on emergency repairs on a section of sanitary sewer trunk line behind Derwent Avenue. The majority of that work was completed prior to the holidays. There is some minor work which still remains, but the sewer line has been stabilized and restored to operable condition. The Lynn Drive well continues to move forward. We were originally anticipating completion in December, but the contractor is scheduling startup of PFAS and other treatment vessels this week. They are also coordinating with the integration of the instrumentation for that well as well. We do have a bid opening scheduled for January 22nd for the Claridge Drive pump station project. We are beginning planning processes for a number of road projects, which Linden Avenue is the oldest grant that we have from DOT that we moved on first. We also have the more recent Dot Terrace, Afterglow Way, and Summit Road projects, which we will be moving forward with. Everett Field, we received 50 to 70% design drawings, and we have provided initial comments back to the design engineer. We'll be coordinating with all the stakeholder groups for comments and scheduling a presentation on that project. We have the pickleball and tennis courts project. We held pre-construction meeting December 18th. We anticipate receiving a construction schedule from the contractor later this week. We did receive the final energy audits for from the local government energy audit team that covers all the facilities. We will be scheduling a meeting with them in the coming 1 to 2 months, and then we'll be scheduling presentation for the council shortly after that. We are also continuing to have discussions with the solar consultant, which we've discussed with the council at prior meetings. That project continues to move forward. We'll have some additional questions answered and contracts being drafted for further discussion and review by the council on that project as well. We've also discussed the Lakeside Avenue parking lot. That project is under design. As previously mentioned, we received a $1 million grant from the New Jersey EDA. There are coinciding resolutions on the agenda for tonight, and we anticipate being able to schedule a closing in approximately 45 to 60 days as we work with EDA on the grant process itself. We also have, we held our pre-construction meeting for the Town Hall windows and repointing project on December 19th. The contractor has fully measured the windows. They are working with the architect to approve the shop drawings and place the windows into production. With the lead time for windows, we anticipate that the repointing for Town Hall will expect as the weather warms, and the windows will be installed as soon as they're received. That may not be until the spring or summer months, but we do anticipate completion in the August to September timeframe. And there's also a coinciding resolution for Solutions Architect for the professional services associated with that project all the way through construction management, which is on the agenda this evening. I think that generally wraps up the highlights of my report. Unless there's questions from the council, there's also the discussion on the police department. We have received and relocated the police department to address a brief or an air quality issue. We have no interruption in services. We are working with the police department, and we'll have a more detailed communication to the public, hopefully out tomorrow.
Questions for Mr. O'Sullivan? Thank you, Kevin. Moving on to council member reports, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to be brief. Again, just like you, thank everybody who attended the menorah lighting, especially Rabbi Skolnick for jumping in last minute, because the other rabbi, as many people was taken ill. It hit a lot of people over the holidays. I should have started off with Happy New Year to everybody. And then also a big thank you to our Public Works Department for their immediate repair on that water main break. It was extensive. I was there for a good bit of the day. But obviously, Public Works was there repairing it. But our police department, our fire department had a lot to do with the getting the water back up and supplying the rest of the town. I just said it many times that day. Thank God it wasn't one day earlier. Many of those people that were there also, I think, planned on taking the day off. So thank them for coming in and helping out and getting it done. And it was a very very short period of time. As the mayor thanked, I will also thank Cedar Grove Public Works for showing up and helping. And also Martin Contracting, who played a big part in helping out. And I know they gave up work for that day to come and help the town of Verona. So hats off to everybody involved for such a rapid repair and getting the town back in order as quickly as possible. And that's all I have for the meeting.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
The comments are much in the same vein as the deputy mayor's. Thank you to everyone who put together the Hanukkah service. It was wonderful as always. And also, I was out on the water main break as well for the repairs there. I'm always extremely impressed to see the skill level of our DPW crews and how effective they are in repairing these problems. Again, thank you to the township's entire emergency services and emergency management organizations, police department for coordinating a lot of notifications, fire for the emergency water services, PIO, everyone really worked together to bring that to a very successful and rapid resolution for what was a very large pipe with a high flow rate that broke. So I appreciate it. That's my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to wish everyone a happy new year. And I do want to echo my peers' sentiments on thanking everyone for the water main break repair, and a thank you to all of our first responders who worked over the holiday break with a lot of challenges. I also want to highlight that I thought the communication on this water emergency was very much improved from the past. And so I want to give a thanks to the administration for putting in some of the lessons learned from previous emergencies. I also want to highlight that our Congresswoman, LaMonica McIver, reached out to see if her office could be of any assistance, and I passed that along to the administration. I appreciate that she was on top of issues that were impacting Verona. And I too attended the Hanukkah celebration. I want to also, in addition to everyone who was thanked, thank the Multicultural Inclusion and Accessibility Advisory Committee, who volunteered at the event to make sure that there were crafts and refreshments for everyone to enjoy. I did have the opportunity to go down to Washington, D.C. on Friday to attend the celebrations associated with the swearing in of our new Congresswoman LaMonica McIver and Senator Andy Kim. And it's always a good idea to build relationships. And it was a great opportunity to be down there in the halls of Congress on a very exciting day. Finally, the Shade Tree Commission has a meeting on Monday at 5 o'clock on Zoom, and at the Community Center, and the Neighborhood Traffic and Safety Committee has a meeting on Zoom on Tuesday at 7:30. That would be next week. That's my report. Thank you.
Councilwoman Holland.
Thank you. I'll echo the sentiment of my colleagues. I hope everyone had very happy and healthy holidays. The Hanukkah celebration was quite lovely. It was a very cold evening, and so it was impressive to get everybody into town hall. It was impressive to have everybody into town hall, and I just want to note that it is quite a rare occasion where Hanukkah would overlap with the New Year. I hope everybody did have happy and healthy New Year celebrations as well. With regard to the DPW work on the water main break, I do want to note that it is very impressive. It's actually not as frequent an occurrence as it used to be. So not only is it impressive that the repairs were done so quickly and timely and during such extreme cold, but it is a testament to the work that we've been doing as a municipality to improve our asset management plans and to make sure that we are doing this work. I mean, certain water main breaks are going to be inevitable, but it is far less frequent than it had been in prior years. Last but not least, I just want to remind all residents that we are within the winter months. There are going to be some very, very cold days and some less cold days. And so if you are struggling with your utility bills, please avail yourself of the winter termination program, during which time you will not be shut off by your utility for any difficulties that you may have paying. So please avail yourself of the winter termination program if you have the need. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this point, I will open the meeting for public comment on any item any member of the public wishes to discuss. Madam Clerk, would you please read the public participation statement?
Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any matter? If you're attending by Zoom, please raise your hand by pressing the raise hand button on your monitor. If you're dialing in by phone, press *9. If you're attending in person, please raise your hand and be called on before approaching the lectern. Once recognized, clearly state only your name and township of residence for the record. You're not required to provide your street address. However, if you do, please note that these meetings will be posted on the township's YouTube channel and addresses will not be redacted for any purpose. You'll have 4 minutes to address the council. There can be no cross dialogue during this time. After everyone wishing to speak has been heard, the council may have comments and or questions.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Anybody in the room wish to address the council? Sir?
So, hi, my name is Frank Fabiano. I am the property manager of 1 East Lincoln in Verona. So, of course, I want to wish everybody Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, like everyone else. But my issues now are the parking. And we have I have pictures, you can look at it, you guys want to just pass them around. So now, the police department knows, I call them many times, the people park terribly on that street. There's no lines in front of the building. So sometimes people come, they go to the restaurants, they go to stores, they park, take up another spot, and spots are challenged on that street. So now, I get it, you raise the parking, you have the right to do that. But also, with that, I would like to say that it's unfair, people in the restaurants, now in the picture you see there's another restaurant that's going to be opening on the corner of Bloomfield, right across from East Lincoln. They park up and down the street, they own a restaurant, they have, hours, come back out, tenants come home, they have no place to park. So we're parking all over. All right, I'm here about 6 going on 7 years, I'm living in Verona. I plan on staying in it. I like the town. I like my apartment. I work for the company that owns it. And I try to keep it nice, keep the sidewalk clean, the leaves, everything. I try to do whatever I can to keep the property looking good. But it's not fair that we park and pay now, 1.5 times what we paid prior years to park. And then they can come from the restaurant, park here, park in a handicap, take up spots. And again, like I said, park any way they want, there's no line, especially in front of the apartment. And I'm handicapped. I have a bum leg. I can get around, I'm good. But sometimes in the winter, like everybody else, arthritis, whatever, it acts up. I was told there were 2 handicap parking, one in front of my building that somebody knocked down and they never replaced. If you're looking at the pictures in there, I have one of a parking sign, placard, just for a person that lives in that property. Now, I drive all around the state, I see them all over. That one happens to be in Clifton. It's in front of an apartment that we own. And there's 2 people that are handicapped in there, and each one of them has their own handicap spot. I would like to see a handicap spot just for me in the one they knocked down, which is on the corner of my building. We're right on the corner with the 4 storefronts. The sign that's at the other one is barely, legible. I mean, it's an old sign, it's tilting, and the sign that's in the street that says for the 2-hour parking, I gotta push that up every year. It's hanging there. But also, to be fair for the tenants and myself and anybody else that has to pay to park on that street, I would like a sign put up, parking by permit only, to stop the people from the restaurant coming up, parking there, and then we have to wait for them to move and then come back out whenever to check if they move so we can move our cars from the meters and bring them back. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Mr. Fabiano.
You're welcome. Can I have my pictures back?
Oh, I think they're still circulating.
All right, yeah, keep looking at it.
But you wanted to put them into the record.
Oh, you know what? Yes, I have them on my phone. The records.
They will be,
Thank you.
they'll be placed in the record.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the room?
Would you like a copy back of them?
No, I have them on my phone. I can print it anytime I want.
Anybody else in the room wish to address the trust? Hearing none, hearing nobody at home. I will close public comment. To respond to Mr. Fabiano, the chief of police is in the audience and I'm sure heard your presentation. And if you want to reach out to his office through the police records, he'd be able to talk to you about the options as far as how the ordinance there. Permit signs work and so on. If I can, sorry. We just can't have you talking while we are. But you can talk to him about that and he will help you offline. The chief can give you his contact information outside perhaps.
Great.
As far as the parking by permit only, that's something that we would take a recommendation from the chief of police on as well. One of the issues with that is that if we had parking by permit only on the entirety of that street, then people who live there wouldn't be able to have guests there and things like that, that would park on the street and so on. So we'd have to study that and get a recommendation from the police department about how to address that piece as well. But we certainly understand your concerns. I walk by there all the time with my dog, and I am well aware of the parking issues over there as well. And the only other thing I always suggest is we can always reach out to the restaurant owners over there. It's the same hospitality group that owns both, and ask them to advise their patrons on the website or whatever of parking options and maybe to keep off that street because it is a difficult street to park on. And we can certainly make that request. And I know a lot of people, when they look up a restaurant, look up where to park and so on. We can suggest that they use Fairview Avenue and other area parking as an option as well. And those are the simpler things to do, and we'll reach out to them. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Hearing none, we are going to move over to minuses for introduction. The next item on the agenda is ordinance H. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title of this ordinance into the record?
Bond ordinance providing for the acquisition of 2 salt trucks with equipment in and by the Township of Verona in the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $200,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $190,000 bond or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody move this ordinance, please?
So moved.
Motion's made by Councilman Roman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second's made by the Deputy Mayor. Any council discussion? None, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor, ordinance H1 passes 5-0. Would be numbered 01. Published according to law. Public hearing will be held on January 20th.
Mr. Sullivan, you want to address H2?
Sure, Mayor. This ordinance franchise agreement with Comcast.
Can you
Zoom doesn't get police service.
H1 was an ordinance scheduled for introduction for the execution of a franchise agreement with Comcast. We have received comments back just about an hour ago from the BPU with some additional comments that they've incorporated into that ordinance. So we should move to table that ordinance this evening so we can incorporate and review those comments from the BPU.
and you'll send them to us?
Yes.
I hear a motion to table H2. So motion is made by Councilman Roman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second is made by Councilwoman Holland. This is a non-discussable, non-debatable motion. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor, motion passes 5-0.
Okay. All right, next up is our consent agenda. I believe Councilwoman McGrath has, it was 15, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
please, K-15.
Anybody else have anything to
For
pull, just to pull from the agenda? Okay, 15.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything? Fair Hill motion to. Motion for J1, K1 through K14, K16 through K24, then L1, A, B, and C.
So moved.
Which was made by Councilwoman McGrath. Is there a second? Second is made by Councilman Holland. This time we'll open for public comment on the consent agenda items only. The same public comment statement applies, limited to the consent agenda.
A question real quick, Mr. Mayor, are we having an executive session? Are we we're doing that ordinance?
Correct. I mean, technically, it's the same resolution. We can just pass it. That's fine.
May I ask, Mr. O'Sullivan, was there, was this executive session resolution complete, or did we need to add an item to it?
I believe it's complete.
Are we tabling, for discussion?
Oh.
In closed session.
So that will-
I'm sorry?
We do have additional.
So listed on the, for the,
executive session resolution is appropriate to covers all the things
All of
we're
those
discussing in
things.
closed session.
thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Thank you, Madam Town Clerk. Right, Eddie. I'm gonna. I think we're still in public comment. I haven't closed public comment yet. Okay. All right, hearing no public comment, I will close public comment. Any council comments on any of the consent agenda items? Okay.
The only thing
Deputy
on
Mayor.
there, I'm sorry, resolution K14 for the Lynn Drive well, the upgrades to the pump in that resolution. Just a suggestion that we keeping the old pump? I know it's only, call it old, but it's 3 years old. I noticed in the invoice in a description, it was a 2021 pump. Just that we should keep it for backup.
For salvageable parts, yes.
That was it. Good. All right. This point, I will call for the vote. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor, resolutions 1 through 14 will be numbered 2 through 15. Resolutions 16 through 23 will be 15 through,
Thank you.
yeah.
All right. With one addendum item, correct? I'm sorry, we need to call K15. Can I hear a motion on K15, please?
So moved.
The motion is made by Councilman Holland. Is there a second? Well, heck, I'll second it. Discussion on K15. This is the resolution to appoint Brown & Brown as a risk manager as they have been in the past.
Mayor, I will be recusing myself from this one. Thank you.
Thank you. So noted. Hearing no discussion.
Yeah, no, in this resolution, it says they submitted the business entity disclosure statement. We didn't get that in our package.
Oh, right, it was in the RFP. That's accessible online.
Okay.
Yeah, we've seen that.
Wasn't we? Okay, we had it.
I'm sorry, I didn't want that by accident.
Can you just pop that back out to us
Sure.
again? Just so we can see it. All right. Any further discussion on the side? All right, call the roll, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
I abstain.
Okay, K15 passes 3-0 with 2 recusals.
That's not a recusal.
I'm sorry, One abstention, one recusal.
Thank you. Right, we call the addendum up. All right, so the addendum is M1. This is an appointment for the Multicultural Inclusion Accessibility Advisory Committee for unexpired term ending June 30th. I'll hear a motion to approve.
So,
Motion made by Councilman McGrath. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilman Roman. Any council, actually, I'll call for public comment on M1 before we have council discussion. Same public comment statement applies. Hearing none, I will close public comment on M1. Any council discussions? Should just be noted that this is one of 2 vacancies on the MIAC. And I thank Mr. Pimpinelli for agreeing to applying to serve. I'm sure his medical background will be of value, especially on the and for accessibility. So I look forward to having him on. All right, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. All right, on to new business. Our first item for new business is discussion on an ordinance amending A565-3 of the Township Code, including business and rental liability insurance registration fee. I want to open this discussion by questioning the fee here because we actually haven't, we kind of tabled our discussion or didn't finish our discussion on the ordinance for business registry. So I think it's premature at this point to talk about the fee for it until we actually have the entire package done. So unless anybody objects, I would like to table this discussion as part of the greater discussion on this ordinance.
So you could certainly have a greater discussion, and I apologize because I neglected to send the council an email on this, just a quick memorandum. Originally, I'll call it the Paramus ordinance was placed before you, which was an ordinance that we crafted after Paramus that followed Paramus. Technically, the state statute as written doesn't require you to do anything. It should be enforced by the township and everyone should be registering. What the state statute does allow you to do is charge a fee. So in lieu of changing the requirements under the state statute, as the administration originally attempted to do, we decided it was best based upon the council discussion, or we thought from the council discussion that it was best just to impose the fee. And I want to say the fee is $25. Is that correct? I'm sorry, $15. There was some talk about 25, and they lowered it to 15. So to charge a minimal fee, this way it covers the cost of the clerk. Should people start to register, notwithstanding the fact that they, quite frankly, haven't to date, notwithstanding the requirement that everyone does.
Have we figured out yet to whom this applies?
Yes, it applies to all businesses in town that are doing business in town. So it will not apply to, as originally following the Paramus model, the landscaper who comes into town, the other professionals who come into town. But if your business is in town, you're providing services in town. If you're based in Verona, that's and doing business
So
in there.
if your business entity registration, which you already paid for, which state of New Jersey, is filed with a Verona address, then you have to pay for asking rather than another fee to register in Verona. So when you originally form a corporate entity in the state of New Jersey, right?
If your entity is doing business in Verona,
So
if it's offering services in Verona,
so if your business has a Verona address, but doesn't do any business in Verona, they don't have to register.
if it's based in Verona, it's not based anywhere else, it has to register. Basically, under New Jersey law, all businesses should be registering somewhere. So in order to, without giving legal advice to all the businesses out there, in order to be compliant with the law, you have to register. So the registration is really just providing, for whatever reason, the legislator thought it was a good idea to have everyone have a minimal amount of insurance. So it's really just showing the proof of this insurance in the certain amounts, because there are different amounts depending on what you're registering, whether it's a two-family home, a business, things of that nature. So there are different minimum requirements. So as part of that process, you need to show proof of that somewhere.
I have to say, for the public application, I disagree with the state's view on that. I mean, you have to register with the state. It should be something the state's dealing with. It's a shame that they've given this to municipalities to deal with. And I think the entire thing is asinine, to be honest. But what are you gonna do? How much labor would it take to process one of these forms? Just trying to figure out for
Why would the hourly rate, that thinking 15, 20 minutes would be that.
so you're thinking it would take about 15, 20 minutes to do this.
Yeah. Cause
I based it off of the clerk's hourly rate, not your assistant's hourly.
Oh, yeah, excellent.
The clerk's hourly rate. I mean, it's my feeling that if we have to do this, and we should, charge as little as possible to make it work. But at the same point, any other comments on this? A lot of comments. I say a lot. You certainly can. It's our, it's our forum.
I will gladly ask a bunch of questions. I really disagree with it because you have a lot of at-home businesses that don't require insurance. Someone is selling T-shirts at home. Someone who has a printing business and they're just using their home as the office location, and their printing is done 2 towns, 3 towns away. They're gonna have to register. I mean, if like
The registration.
of buildings or like a piece of property, you have an LLC. You already have insurance on that property for the LLC, and now on top of it, we're going to get hit with another $15. So it's just. And then my biggest concern of this is who's going to police it. We just went through the last year and a half with the lead inspections, and I flat out know people in this town that have rentals and have not done their lead inspections on their properties, and we don't have the staff to police that. I mean, we're going to have some people come in and register a couple businesses, but I don't think a lot of the businesses. What if someone's like a photographer and they have a photography business? They're going to have to get insurance.
Everyone under the law is required to have a minimum amount of insurance and to register. This law has been in effect for 2 years, John?
Yes.
2 years so far, and I don't believe that anyone has registered.
Right.
So there's a lot of what ifs, and no one's registered to date. This allows the township to charge a reasonable fee if anyone decides to follow this particular law that's required by the state.
Yeah.
I don't believe that the administration is planning on spending lots of time and effort in trying to get the guy printing T-shirts and the girl printing T-shirts in their home, in their basement, to register or whatever, but they should follow the law, and we respect that, and hopefully everyone registers, and hopefully those who don't have the required amount of insurance, so if something happens, everybody's protected. But this is just a simple $15 fees. The only thing you're at is the one thing that the law allows you to do is charge a reasonable fee. Is in there. If you don't do this, you're changing nothing other than the fact that you cannot collect a $15 fee. You're not changing anything. You're not adding anything. You're not making the law. You're just saying if someone decides to register as they're required to, we can charge a $15 fee to cover our costs.
Any other discussion? All right, well, we need to provide a direction to township attorney on what to suggest as an ordinance. It's my opinion that our hourly rate should not necessarily be based on the clerk's rate, but also maybe somewhere between the clerk's rate and the secretary's rate in the clerk's offer, because we have that as an option, and to keep it as long as possible at $10 or something like that. That's just if we have to do it.
I want to add something on. As far as businesses go, and you mentioned it, Mr. Mayor, you have to register with the township. You have a filing fee annually. And on that filing fee with the state of New Jersey, you have to put your insurance requirements down. So you cite that out somewhere. So if you have it there already, why do you have to? register
I've
it?
done state filings without having proof of insurance.
Some do not.
Well, I've done nonprofit filings. I guess they don't require nonprofits to have insurance, even though they probably shouldn't.
Mayor, I'm comfortable with $15 fee. I, appreciate that it was mathematically based on the clerk's salary. I think we should just pass something quickly. I do agree, like, this is a area of potential work and, businesses should follow the regulations set by the state of New Jersey. And I think some of the things that you raised are good topics of conversation with our state legislators, but this is the law. It's been in effect for 2 years. We should get into compliance. Well, we're in compliance. Businesses should get into compliance as quickly as possible. I think a $15 fee is very reasonable. As long as I think, introduce them.
I would be fine with $15 if we waive it for nonprofit corporations, which would still have to register.
Are nonprofit corporations covered under the law?
They have to file business entity registration with the state, so.
I'm not
It's
sure.
commercial liability.
Yeah, I'll get back to
Still
the
have
law.
that.
But certainly, if the council wants to, if they are included, we can certainly waive it, because you don't have to charge anything. This is up to the council if they want to charge.
We'll get you researching it.
Yeah, we'll get back to you.
My opinion on this is that since this law is unduly burdensome and a bad idea on its face, that we should charge anything.
I guess we don't have a consensus on exactly what to charge or what not to charge, but maybe we'll have one. So why don't we hear on that question? We'll come back at the next meeting. I mean, if people aren't knocking down the door to register, it's not like we're losing $15 by.
Again, nothing's changing.
Another
If people register, they can register now for free. It's just if they wait, possibly there's a charge somewhere between $0 and $15.
Let's try to make some kind of determination at the next meeting so we can propose on February 6th, February 3rd. All right. Next item is discussion ordinance to amend chapter 5 of the Township Code. There's a couple dates related to the administration. Government. Madam Clerk, did you want to go through this one or Mr. Secretary?
This was changes at the request of council, started with the order of business to include public comment, council reports,
Yes.
and then with the recent adoption of the election being moved to November, in the same article, talks about our, under 514, the reorganization meeting date entered in was what is stated in the law. And it could be thought of, I guess it could be with the annual meeting notice, we could set that date. Unless council wants to do something to codify a specific date. And again, that's repeated in 516 for the annual reorganization meeting. And then 526 was just in the same article. I know there has been some discussion on appointments and how the process is, and I was just pointing out that if you wanted to have a discussion, leave it or amend it, because it's all in one article, saves money with codification.
Any discussion on this one? Everybody okay with noon or some other hour during the first week of January?
That's fine.
The only, Mr. Mayor, and this one, under 514 in C, where we have the cross out of July,
Should be a.
Just wherever, but
that's over January following each.
Yeah.
Not just following, something has to be added, yes.
That's all right. Okay, if we make that change, I think we're good to go for next meeting, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Thank you for making those changes. Right. Then moving on to N3, which is discussion on pool rates. Mr. O'Sullivan.
Sure, Mayor. Fine,
We'll get your mic.
Give my muffle stay put.
So this item on the agenda is the follow-up discussion on the pool rates, which have been previously discussed at two prior meetings. There were recommendations from NewGen. In addition to those recommendations from NewGen, there was also additional literature circulated to the council with a draft communications and marketing plan from our public information officer. And there were some additional follow-up answers from our community services department regarding utilization and staffing levels at the pool. Based upon prior discussions and the information that's been circulated, it's the administration's recommendation to proceed with the option 2 recommendation from NewGen, which was a 15% rate increase, while simultaneously implementing this expanded marketing plan and continuing to comb over expenses to see if there's savings anywhere to be had.
I think that is an important piece, as far as we're looking at pretty significant increases in fees, which one way or another have to be done, right? My concern is really to look at economies. I know that there's a discussion on staffing and safety, but there's a difference between lifeguard staffing and non-lifeguard staffing that we might be able to look at as far as that goes. And really try to have our community service department, our managers determine how much staff is actually necessary versus, what do we need versus what we want. Because this is a labor intensive industry down at the pool, and anytime that we can make those economies, it's better. But in doing my visits and I've done them with the ARCO and just from an outside perspective, and I think is you understand there seems to be a lot of people, right? A lot of staff, and it would be helpful. And I haven't seen this yet. We talk about numbers with safety ratio. I would like to see how much staff we have on the shift at a given time, what the Red Cross or the water safety regulations or suggestions are for the coverage, and what a rotation looks like, as far as before making any decision on this, because we're at some point, I think we need to, the fees have to be one thing just to keep it sustainable. But in the meantime, we're also taking a bit of a gamble on assuming that the same number of families will stay with the pool with increased rates. We've heard from some members of the public that may not be a possibility. We're also, predicting a certain increase in there, right? So if those scenarios don't work out, if there's some other expense, chemicals go up, everything's volatile in the current market, we need to be able to account for that. And that might be one of those things, but want to micromanage the operations of the pool. But I also think before, as the governing body, that we need to have an idea of what the actual expenses are for running the pool and making sure that we're running not necessarily the minimum staffing, but at an appropriate level of staffing, maybe not as generous a level of staffing as we might be. But the lifeguard staff, obviously there's a liability issue with that, right? Non-lifeguard staff, do we have that? Can we pay fewer people more high quality or whatever or something like that and still save money? I'm always open to that. Instead of paying a bunch of people minimum wage, pay a couple people a little bit more that can handle more responsibility or something like that. And we do have the talent, I think, within town, as somebody who's taught most of the pool staff. I know that if you pick the right people, we certainly have that ability to do that as well. But that's just a thought out there. And I guess my next question is, what happens? What situation are we in if our estimate on these fees turns out to be short? We have the NewGen strategy. I'm just a little concerned with this significant increase proposed in rates over the next several years, that you might see this as a disincentive from joining. So obviously we have to operate the facility. How does that work as far as municipal finances go? How much would we have to spend? How would we kick in? If it's not budgeted, how does that work?
Well, in this scenario that's being presented, the operating budget, the revenues are already reliant upon the surplus, the fund balance in the pool budget. If there was any shortfall in the revenues because of a drop in memberships, that would then require the pool to dip into the fund balance a little bit.
Can we raise the rates more next year?
Raise the rates more or look at all the options again.
Councilman?
Thank you. Kind of picking up on this conversation about, staffing. And obviously we want to make sure we maintain the high level service. We've had a lot of complaints about the cleanliness of the bathrooms in years prior. So we want to make sure we are staffed appropriately to keep the facility safe and clean, obviously. But I was intrigued by the last sentence in this response that said, scheduling efficiencies are continually pursued and eliminating excess employees will remain a focus of the 2025 season. I think we're looking for, what are some key thoughts to, on staffing that are in the works to be implemented before hiring starts.
Okay.
So I think fleshing out that statement a little bit is what I'm looking for, but more importantly, there were a lot of ideas presented in Mr. Robotham's presentation that we've seen, some of which, again, are cutbacks. They were, floating, closing the rec tent, scaling back the early access hours to the baby pool section, the free nights, whether or not they're going to remain free or is there going to be a fee. So what I need to see still, and this was I love the marketing plan. I love this response document, but we are still missing a summary of what policies are going to be changed that impact the customer, the member, and what are all the other fees that need to be adjusted, the swim team, the gazebo rental. It needs to be, when we say it needs to be a complete package, we need to understand what are all the changes. And it's like some things are going to be by ordinance, some may be a memo that this is what the staff, we heard, about changing what age the kids can enter the pool. We want to know the big picture, what is changing, so that we understand that we're putting in a 15% increase, and then what is the member getting and what are they losing? So they're going to pay more and they're actually going to have some level of possible reduction. And then I think that free membership ties into something that I know I've raised with the administration multiple times, which is we now have a whole new group of residents who are moved into affordable housing. And what is the policy going to be there for residents that are in financial need, not just the ones moving into particular housing, but those that are already on SNAP benefits or in low income housing already. So it's that level, not that we want to delay. I think you probably have most of these pieces, but we need to see the whole thing before we vote on the rates. That's what I'm asking for.
Just the very brief answer, as you said, we've kicked this around and discussed it a little bit, but we can certainly formalize a summary on it. But the idea of removing or peeling back any services, I think there was a large enough concern that the idea of removing or lessening services while increasing rates was not something desired by the council. So the rates that were projected and recommended did not assume any cost savings in the budget through cutbacks in services. The other recommendations about other potential revenues, whether it's through sponsorships or additional private events, those are elements that still will be pursued. However, the rate recommendation does not rely upon that revenue because we cannot rely on it until it's a proven revenue.
But we need to make certain, the council needs to pass certain things in fee ordinances in order to make some of those things a reality. So time is running out because we want to have a successful season. We want to see some new things. So if we're talking about private parties, well, that has to be set by ordinance. If we're talking about what we're charging nonprofits, for pool parties, that needs to be set by ordinance. So we need to get all of our i's dotted and t's crossed. And we should do it at the same time so that the public can comment on the whole big thing. It's hardened to hear that some of those scale backs and services may not be happening, but I would like that in writing because we were presented in writing with a whole host of things. So we need kind of that closure document, like this is the plan.
Sure.
Okay, so thank you for understanding.
Councilman Hall?
I would just echo that. I do think it's important for us to have kind of like the comprehensive package, because I think we've seen little bits and pieces at different times and it has been evolving. I do want to thank you. I think there's been a lot of work that's been put into it, but having it kind of all wrapped up in a bow would be very helpful. It was not clear to me until you just said so that we wouldn't be doing any of those cuts in services. That's helpful to know, but I think the residents also need to know that, like, if we're approving this substantial rate increase, they need to understand that there's not going to necessarily be a reduction in services. If anything, there's going to be an enhancement of the quality of service. I do want to thank you for making the effort to respond to some of the inquiries. I do think it's worthwhile to evaluate all of the events at the pool, perhaps not just limited to the preseason events, which I did communicate to you in an email. I also think that we really need to look at the communications plan more broadly. And I think this is an opportunity to leverage the community resources through the Recreation Advisory Committee. There are people that are very interested in a marketing plan. And there had been a lot of discussion about not just kind of more of a social media campaign, which I think this is, the communications plan is more of like a social media campaign, but really focusing on some of those additional opportunities for generating interest, because really this is going to be a membership game, right? So it's not just going to be about increasing rates, because you know, in the end, the last member of the pool is going to pay for the entire pool. And so we really need to increase that membership and generate like a lot of positive energy around it. There was discussion about events, not limited to the circumstances discussed in your response to questions, but also, you know, sponsorships, tournaments, things of that nature that could be really great ways of generating a lot of excitement around pool membership this summer. So I think those are great opportunities that really aren't captured right now in this communications plan, but could be like a kind of more comprehensive approach to marketing the pool and really making it clear, which I think so many of our residents know, but we've had so many people join our community in recent years that a lot of, you know, your family's summer memories are really established at the Verona Community Pool. And it is a great place for the kids and it is a tremendous asset to our community. So we just really need to hype that up. But again, I do echo Councilwoman McGrath's concerns about having that kind of comprehensive package. I think it would also be helpful to residents just to, you know, kind of have that before them in the presentation, because they've heard bits and pieces across these several meetings. So thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. First, Mr. O'Sullivan, thank you for your time with this. I know it's been a tough one. And I know Mr. Robotham is not here, but he's also put a lot of time into this. I think the bottom line is the residents have to know, and they do know, that pool rates will be going up. We as a council kind of got pulled into this because we had this plan in the past. I think it's because, you know, we redid the baby pool and we added the splash pad, and I think we paid a lot more than we thought we were going to pay for it. It was a priority for some, and we ended up paying a lot more than what we thought it was going to be originally. And on top of that, with the amount of water we use at splash pad, those are increasing the rates of the pool. So we're having difficulty there. So the way we're going to get out of this is we have to raise rates, and the public has to know, you know, we should have bifurcated those projects and we should have done one at a time and taken our time doing them, especially knowing what we have coming up in this coming year. However, we didn't. I do think looking at this whole fee schedule and looking at emails we received from people, I think that if a lot of people were against outside membership, I think if we do go that route, I think there's plenty of, even if we hit, and this is a suggestion from some of the employees themselves, our town employees who want to use the pool but don't live in town. I think that's a great start, and offer them memberships at the rates that we're going to have, and not have to put an exorbitant rate on others from out of town that want to come in. I think even if we get 10, 15, 20 memberships there, we're getting 10, 15, 20 more memberships. The other thing I was looking at, and we received emails over the year and talking to people, are our guest passes and our day passes. Yes, you're going to have to pay to come in, but I think if we lower those rates a little bit, you're going to gain it by the amount of people that might come in with a family. You have a family that has relatives that come over. Maybe they want to go to the pool, but at a rate where a day pass is $45 for an adult. A couple comes in and it's paying $90 to come into the pool. Maybe it's a little less. They'll be more enticed to come in. So just my suggestions, and I guess we'll have further talks on which option, we're going to decide on where we're going to go. But that's all I have.
I'll piggyback on that. The idea of letting township employees buy membership is something I floated to Mr. Yarko last year. I understand that some of the pool members may have hesitation about that. I think the reason why people don't want out of town members is because they're concerned about whatever it's keeping up the beautiful pool and making sure that it's not that you have the people who are going to be responsible treat the pool well, right? Which I think most out of town members would. That's my personal opinion. But because the members seem to be more willing to pay higher rates than bringing out of town members, that kind of moving that direction. It seems like the administration's recommendation. However, I do think that I agree with the deputy mayor, is make an exception to allow our municipal employees to buy memberships at the same rate that somebody in town would buy, because I don't think we'll have any issues related to mistreatment of the pool facility or anything like that. This is very easy just to simply withdraw a membership, but I think our town employees, in my experience, even before being on a member of this governing body, is that all of our employees care about this town deeply. And I think actually having them there would add something to the pool. So I appreciate the deputy mayor bringing that back up, but I would like to see that open. And we do have some out of town members already because of rescue squad or fire department or whatever. So it's not exactly that we're creating a precedent there either. Councilman Friend.
Thank you. I just want to kind of expand and just go back a little bit on the history of all of the reports that we received from New Gen. I know that we've gotten some emails that have really kind of pinned the financial states that we're in with the pool, on the baby pool project, which the entire council did support at the time. And it was a project that was full of engineering issues, which unfortunately were a common occurrence prior to our current administration. Projects were not scoped right. But again, what the analysis showed is the current financial situation that we're in is due to a confluence of events. It was rising minimum wage. It was the COVID accounting emergency, which wasn't actually a real financial issue for our pool, but we had to account for it. It was I don't even know the multiple of costs for the chemicals, and it was improving our internal accounting practices to make sure that the costs to run this pool were fully accounted for by the pool, including water rates. And it was past debt, not just the more recent debt we took on for the splash pad, but as the New Gen report showed very clearly, the debt to put in the ramps in the larger pool. So and we kept rates for too low for too long because we didn't have a robust rate making process, which Councilwoman Holland has talked about a lot over the last 5 years. So I know what residents think, and certainly the timing, it makes it look, Black Fat Baby Pool, that's the reason why. But it was a confluence of things, which was really the foundation was poor rate making. I like fully sound like a Councilwoman Holland at this point. So we're getting our house in order, but let's be clear with the facts. And it just was also really unfortunate timing with COVID, because perhaps we would have, been able to address some of these things, but that emergency took precedent. And what we didn't realize was, again, minimum wage, which is the majority of the cost to run the pool, was increasing rapidly, and we were priced too low. So I just want to make sure that, and again, I say this to residents who respond on that, we just have to make sure that we keep that comprehensive picture. But yes, I think we all agree that what we thought that splash pad was going to cost, and what we ended up to were two totally different numbers. But we all did decide to proceed with that project, and the residents do love it, and it will add to the long-term marketability of the pool, because it really is an amazing facility with the slide as well. Thank you.
So looking to the future, which is where we find ourselves, I think that's most important at this point. We have a request for a entire fee package, right? Which I think nobody would disagree with here. The administration has made their recommendation at, this option 2. The public has seemed to indicate moving another direction. We've asked for a little bit. You gave some information about staffing, but I think we can come up with some idea. I'm not interested in what we do now. I'm interested in what we should be doing. And that's the part that was missing from the staff QA that was on there. I think we need that. And certainly a discussion on allowing town employees, and my opinion would be to charge the same rates as everybody else. And that would just be added financing. I know what I would like to see is perhaps township administration put all this together, send it back to the pool subcommittee, let the pool subcommittee and the rec committee respond. And I'd like to see that kind of side-by-side response for everybody, right? So just so we have all of that to go on. If Mr. Shore is okay with that, I think so, right? Just to do a side-by-side. And that way we have an educated decision-making process. So I think it's important, though, that we establish a timeline for this, because one of the issues that we had last year was doing a little late, and with a fee increase, we need to let people know earlier to budget. And also, if we're seeing a decline in memberships, we're going to need to do something to perhaps deal with that, right? We may need to have some kind of maneuver later on. So my recommendation is that for the next meeting, that we have answers to these questions and so on, get the full package. And then we will do the first meeting in February. Is that a reasonable timeline for everybody?
That's
And then we'll be able to, that means our fees would be, if we have a second reading and then in February, our fees would then be official in mid-March, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And it starts April.
And registration would come in. So they would be on target, but we think we need to make a commitment, all of us, to do that, whether we get, like Mr. Sullivan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else have any other items for your finished business? None. I will open for public comments on any agenda and any wishes to any item that anybody wishes to discuss. The same public comment statement applies.
Robert McGuire, I'm the president of Verona PBA, Local 72. I just have a brief statement, more for the public than the council themselves. As we post on our social media today, the Verona Police Department has temporarily moved to an off-site location due to workplace safety concerns. We want to assure the public that all public police services continue to be available and officers remain committed to serving our community. For non-emergent matters, please contact us at 973-239-5000. Continue to utilize 911 for emergencies. For any inquiries regarding the closure of police facilities, you can contact the town manager's office at 973-857-4767. We appreciate your understanding during this time. Thank you, the members of Verona PBA Local 72. Thanks.
Thank you, President McGuire. Any other comments?
This guy.
What be a meeting without you, Paul?
I know. Paul Petrangeli, Verona. Basically, I just want to stress the pool fees. You know, the burden should not be on the taxpayer. It should be on the person utilizing the pool. Basically, the splash pad in the new gen study had 8 people use it in the morning in the early hours and 16 people all day. So that was, you know, what a lot of people think about when they hear that past issues with the money. Beggars can't be choosers. So if you're gonna basically choose not to allow out of town people in, then you have to raise your rates to what they should be. Like, you're kind of letting the pool people just pick what they want to do. To me, out of towners, you can't even tell an out of towner is there. I don't know if a parent is in 8th grade. I don't know who they are. So I wouldn't even know if they lived in Cedar Grove or Montclair or any other town. That price, I doubt you're going to get any type of person that you wouldn't want at the pool. And I just want you to think of how much money we spent in the past 4 years of the American Rescue Plan dollars and the taxpayers' dollars of the water bill and everything else. Like, it's not our responsibility. And you know, it's just irks me because I don't use it. That's it. All right. And we shouldn't have to pay for it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Close public comment. Oh, sorry. Mr. Shore.
Quick Shore, Verona, New Jersey. Just want to wish everybody a happy new year. And mayor, town council, administration. So I'm, the subcommittee and the committee will work hard on the pool and continue our work. We look forward to that work with Kevin, deputy town manager. Congratulations on your promotion. I would like to say thank you to Councilwoman McGrath for recently just saying previously, which is accurate, 100% accurate about how the pool got into the situation that it is. And I think it's important for the council and others to respond. And I love Paul, but that information is not correct. The taxes are not paying for the pool anymore. It's being funded directly by the membership, and that has to be told to our residents that is the will of the council and the will of the administration. Has done a good job to making sure that it's funded by itself. And think if that conversation with the town and its members and the residents happens, I think more people will understand where we're trying to go. If that information is just not correct information, the splash pad, I agree. Maybe it cost too much, maybe it was too, but I don't want to look backwards, and I don't think anybody else should look backwards. We need to fix what is going on currently. I think we've been doing that for the last year and a half. But this is a 30-year problem. Fees have not been high enough. And we have to find other ways of revenue. And I think we're doing that. It's a tough process. I mean, I had a good conversation, good emails today with the deputy town manager today. These are hard conversations. And I think we're having those conversations, and I think we're moving in the right direction. And I continue and hope to work with you on the pool and to other things that are in recreation. So thank you very much. Happy New Year again.
Thanks, Mr. Shore. Mr. Ryan. Kevin, you need to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Yeah. Kevin Ryan, Verona, New Jersey. I just wanted to echo Mr. Petrangeli's point about looking into maybe letting other, expanding the membership beyond just Verona residents. I find it hard to believe that anyone paying the fees that would be required to join would not be respectful of the pool's facilities. Also, I would hope that you would really consider the idea that, when it was floated by the mayor and maybe echoed by the deputy mayor, of letting town employees who don't live in Verona join the pool. I think you sort of have to think outside of the box on these things. I would agree with the other comments that, going back and revisiting the cost of the splash pad at this point is counterproductive. It's there, you have to deal with it. And I would also sort of support the deputy mayor's position about looking into being a little bit more flexible on allowing members to bring people in on day passes, check the rates on that. I know I was disappointed that they stopped giving out a very small number of free passes when you signed up with the membership. I don't think that would be a big burden to reinstitute that policy. You basically, it's sort of like a nice gesture, and it's not really going to cost any more in the way of strain on the facilities to let a grandparent bring their grandchildren in who necessarily don't live in town. And that, full disclosure, that is a personal peeve of mine, but there may be other people who have grandchildren who live out of town who would find it burdensome to keep paying a high day rate every time. So just look into that. I think basically it would be helpful in a final report. Basically, even if you raise the rates 15%, if Mr. O'Sullivan can include what would be the minimum number of memberships required to sustain the pool as a self-funded utility. I know that it may be hard to come up with, but basically, how many members could you afford to lose by raising the rates 15%? What would be the break-even point? Thanks for letting me comment, and Happy New Year and a healthy New Year to all of you.
At this time, I will close public comment. Mr. McGuire, thank you for your comment. Just for the public's awareness, any public questions regarding this should go to the township manager and the township attorney. The council will not be commenting on anything related to the situation downstairs for matters that are out of our hands. One piece I would just like to add, Mr. O'Sullivan left it off previously, and Mr. McGuire's statement just reminded me. Remember, folks, the police will come to you. So if you want to file a report, call the number. It's much more convenient for you. And it'll certainly save the need to come here as well. But if you do need to come in to do a report, you will be accommodated somewhere in the building. Mr. Petrangeli, thank you for your comments. Mr. Shore as well. I look forward to getting this wrapped up, and I have to say I appreciate all of your work and your committee's work on the recommendations, and it's well taken. It's exactly the model of what our committee should be doing for the council, and I thank you for that. And to Mr. Ryan, we do have some numbers in the New Gen report about on finances and stuff, and we can get that to you as far as potential what our assumptions are as far as membership losses and increases, and what the economic threshold is there. And if we can get that to you as well. And that's it. Any other council responses to public comment? And hearing none, we previously passed a resolution to go into executive session, which we will do at this time. Mr. Township Attorney, Mr. Township Manager, will we be taking any official action? No. All right, we'll see you in 2 weeks on the 20th of January, Inauguration Day.